Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Harrison, the inventor and manufacturer of the Wedge Mouthpiece, and I have a confession. I play on a plastic mouthpiece. Now, you might be wondering why I would play on a plastic mouthpiece when I own the candy store and make the candy. Well, I play on a plastic mouthpiece because I like it better than a brass mouthpiece. Plastic mouthpieces aren't for everyone. They have advantages and disadvantages. For me, the main advantage of a plastic mouthpiece is better endurance. Some players use them because of metal allergies. Some players just like the softer feel of plastic, and some players like plastic because they can play it outdoors in the cold and the mouthpiece always feels warm and doesn't stick to their chops. Plastic mouthpieces have a somewhat darker sound, and that can be a good thing if you're playing in an environment where you want to be more in the background than you would be on a brass mouthpiece. And finally, it's very easy to play quietly or softly on a plastic mouthpiece. So with all those positives, why doesn't everybody play on plastic? Well, along with the positives come some negatives. The main thing I don't like about a plastic mouthpiece is that when I play it, I feel disconnected from the trumpet. I don't get the feedback from the horn that I get when I'm playing on a brass mouthpiece. I can't feel the slotting or the notes locking in the way they do on a brass mouthpiece. The other thing I notice about plastic is that although it's easy to play quietly on a plastic mouthpiece, it's very difficult to get a really clear point on the front of the note. So articulation sounds a bit less distinct than a brass mouthpiece. And finally, the sound of a plastic mouthpiece is a little bit darker than brass, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it lacks a certain core or density in the sound. It almost sounds as though you're playing behind a curtain or in the next room. It's just not as direct as a brass mouthpiece. All right, then that pretty much sums up the situation with plastic mouthpieces. They have some really desirable features and some less desirable features. And that got me thinking, what if you could make a mouthpiece that had the positive aspects of plastic without the negative aspects of plastic? So after a bit of work here at Wedge Mouthpieces, we've come up with what we call the hybrid mouthpiece, which I think combines the best features of both. The Wedge Hybrid is made in two parts, consisting of a polymer insert and a brass base. The polymer insert is printed on a medical-grade 3D printer, and it includes the rim and the cup as one piece. The brass base is just an underpart of a mouthpiece that's been milled to receive the insert. The two are then permanently bonded together. The resin we use is actually designed to print temporary crowns or teeth in the dental industry. It's therefore FDA certified as safe for prolonged human contact with skin and mucosa, and that's important because not all resins used in 3D printing are safe for prolonged human contact. The feel of the hybrid rim is pretty close to acrylic. It has a little more grip than silver-plated brass, and so I get the boost in endurance that I get with acrylic without the downsides. For me, the main advantage of the hybrid mouthpiece is the feedback. The mouthpiece feels like a brass mouthpiece in terms of the feedback you get from the horn and the way the notes lock in or the slotting that you feel when you're playing. People who have used the hybrid mouthpiece describe the sound as just slightly warmer and rounder than a brass mouthpiece of the same design. It's very easy to play quietly on a hybrid mouthpiece, the same as other plastic mouthpieces, but the difference is that the front of the note is very distinct. Articulation is almost as good as on a brass mouthpiece, certainly much better point on the note than I get from an acrylic top on a brass backbore. So for me, the hybrid mouthpiece is a complete game changer. It gives me all of the advantages of a plastic mouthpiece and none of the disadvantages. It's not going to be for everyone. If you're a lead player who wants to have the most projection and paint peeling ability you can get, it might not be for you. Although I can say that I do have lead players that are playing the hybrid and are very happy with it. At the end of the day, it's going to be a matter of personal preference. I personally like the slightly warmer, darker sound that I get out of the hybrid, and lets me use a somewhat shallower cup than I would probably use on a brass mouthpiece. We offer the hybrid in two configurations. You can get it with a raw brass base or a silver-plated base. We recommend the raw brass because you're not going to be in contact with any of the raw brass in the mouthpiece. The whole insert, the rim, and the cup is polymer. The raw brass is going to cost less money, and you're going to get it much quicker. It takes about a week to turn out a raw brass hybrid, where it's about 5 or 6 weeks for silver-plated brass because it has to go out for plating and then come back again. The price of a hybrid in raw brass is exactly the same price as a silver-plated one-piece mouthpiece. They're currently available in the online store, or you can call and place an order over the phone. The hybrid comes with the exact same 90-day money-back guarantee and lifetime trade-in program as our regular mouthpieces. So that's the story on the Wedge Hybrid. If you play on a plastic mouthpiece, you have to try it. It completely blows out of the water any plastic mouthpiece I've ever played. If you don't play on plastic, but you like a mouthpiece that has a slightly darker sound, more comfortable, easy to play in a cold environment, it's worth a try. If you don't like it, send it back, full refund, easy peasy, stick with a brass mouthpiece. All right, that's all I've got. Take care, be safe. Dr. Dave, signing off.